I hung out in the streets here in San Francisco. I met a lot of transgender women, particularly Black transgender women. And they were the ones who kind of like took me in. When they would take a break from working the streets, they would eat, they would take me in and say, come on, let's eat, because they knew I was already kind of like looking for kind of like some guidance. They could sense it already. One of them actually was the fabulous late Nikki Starr. She was the first kind of like, I wouldn't say a mentor, but kind of like a mom to a lot of the Asian girls. And the club was called the Black Rose. We went at the back of the club and they fixed our hair and everything and all that stuff. And then said, girl, that padding is too big. They would just like perfect us, So there was me, there was some Vietnamese girls, there were a lot of Filipina girls also, and then there was a lot of Thai girls also. And we were kind of like their babies and all this stuff. And it came out so natural that when we were kind of like working, we went out of the streets and, it was easy to make $100, $200 so quickly that time because we were a specialty commodity there, at that time. And that's when I started to realize, I said I feel very comfortable here. It was like a family. It was like one big family, and there was a unique kind of kindness. Whenever I see, the struggle that we have right now, I get so emotionally charged by it because, I don't think we will all rest until every lives matters, and I see, I'm not Black, but I know what the struggle is. I saw the struggle, I see the struggle, I feel the struggle, so I feel kind of like, what can I do? I want to be there and firsthand, So I'm originally from Manila, Philippines. There was a lot of expectations being the eldest, the firstborn for my family. Especially at that time, I was the male, I remember very well that I always had to keep my parents happy. And how do I keep them happy is that getting good grades, following I go with them to church every Sunday, and if my mom would say the rosary, I would pray it with her. So I was my mom's favorite. I was the firstborn, so she always carried me around with her. It's like mama's boy, because my mom would have a manicurist come in to service her at the house, and then when she would do my mom's nails, I would put my hand out like that, and can you put colors on here too, please, And my mom was just like, go ahead, But when evening comes and we have dinner, my dad would see it. What the hell is that? Why does your son have nail polish and everything and all this stuff? He gets all upset and all this stuff. So that's where I felt kind of like the feelings were starting to get really mixed inside of me. My dad would not allow me to be who I am back in the Philippines. And there was this opportunity for me to go along with a friend of mine to the United States to help her out. The saddest part was when my dad and my mom took me to the airport to finally leave for the United States, to move here in '89. She really was like, because she was in the passenger seat, my dad was there. My dad was so upset that he was not talking to me and everything. He said, just make sure you come home, and everything else. And then my mom was like, are you sure? Because she knew already I was not coming back. She knew I was going to stay in the United States. And it really broke her heart. And I could feel that. I could feel it. She said, are you sure you're not going to change your mind? She knew already, and I was like, no, I'm not changing my mind. I was getting away with it for a long time, and then suddenly this good-looking guy in the pickup came in and said, hey, you want to make some extra cash, you know? And you know, that young, you think you know everything in the world, but you don't. I had to do pretrial diversion projects, so they cited me, I had to appear in court, and then I have to do 30 hours of community service so that they can take that out of my record and everything. I chose the San Francisco AIDS Foundation at that time. And it was a different scene. So we were either making packets or tearing off condoms or things like that, or printing brochures. And there were some volunteers who were living with HIV already. And you could tell already, like they either had KS and they can still walk, they can still, you know, they wanted to be part of a group, you know, they didn't want to feel like sick or something like that. And there were a couple of times when the person working at San Francisco AIDS Foundation at that time, who was kind of like the volunteer coordinator, got upset with two of the folks who were volunteering who we knew had AIDS, and then to a point where he was yelling at them, you're doing it all wrong and everything. The volunteer coordinator kind of like hit the guy and at the back, and it's like, you're just not doing a good job, you know? And I was like, oh my God, you know? And that's when I saw firsthand kind of like discrimination, stigma for people living with HIV and AIDS. And I said like, and I had to step in. I said, I'll do it, don't worry. I said, you don't need to hit. And that's when I felt kind of like, I said, you know, coming to America, probably, there is a reason why I'm here, you know, there must be a reason. My impression of San Francisco, my impression of the United States was so great because I love watching all the shows here, you know, all Dynasty and everything. I said, I want to live that life and everything else. But when I got here, you know, reality hit, and I said, I'm not rich, I'm not big, I'm nobody here and everything, but how can, you know, and I see all this inequalities that are happening, you know, injustice that is happening to other people and there was a common thread among all of us. We were not the normal people. We were not the cis community, the white picket, you know, white fences and everything. We were the outsiders, you know. When I started volunteering for the Filipino Task Force on AIDS, they knew my background was show business. There was a little theater there. And they said, let's try to come up with a character that people can look up to or can talk to in a kind of like sketch. The first time Tita Aida came out was in this presentation where we made a mock letter discussing about what is HIV, tell me about it, I'm a gay man, gay Filipino man and everything. And then I replied live on stage. We had the Rubber Club. It was a Sunday show that we had in the afternoon, and we did guerrilla theater. We portrayed Charlie's Angels and everything, also safe sex. I mean, because HIV was very different at that time. You had to catch people's attention and to listen, and it can't be just reading it or passing out pamphlets. It gotta have something, you know. I mean, I would do demonstrations. Like my most popular demonstration is like, you have to use water-based lubricants for latex stuff, you know, like the balloon, and then I would have a glove, and I would just like you do this, and you do this, and everything, and then poof, it will just pop, you know. So you have to use water-based lubricants, you know, and everything. So, and it was funny. We were funny at that time. We were funny. We were not scared to look clumsy on stage. I think it was my calling to do this work. I feel very honored. The Transgender District is in the middle of the TL, you know, but there's so many good things about the TL, you know, and I think there could be so much progress that can happen here. I am also amongst folks who who's doing this project that are pioneers, that are part of history.